may seem extravagant, after all, I already had my trusty Rocket 3 GT to travel on. So why in May last year did I go out and buy a BMW K1600 GT? The reason? Well, I'm at one with the Rocket. Man and machine in perfect harmony? Well, maybe not quite that, but I've definitely found the bike that works for me. However, most motorcycles have their shortcomings, and the Rocket is no different. I've been fortunate in the 24,000 miles I've now covered on the bike. I would say that only 1,000 of them have been on wet roads. But when the roads are wet, it's messy. The number plate and light holder on the back of the bike, surely Triumph would be breaching Trade Description Act if they were to describe it as a mudguard, because there's one thing for sure, guarding against mud is not one of its jobs. The small black plastic light holder does nothing to stop road dirt being thrown pretty much everywhere, and I mean everywhere. One other slight shortcoming is the storage. The panniers, stylish although they may be, could not really be described as being capacious. In an effort to address these issues, I fitted what I consider to be an unobtrusive mud guard. Unfortunately, it's not quite as effective as I would have hoped. It was not quite wide enough. I also fitted some Krieger throwover panniers which fit perfectly over the backrest of the bike. And really, this Krieger stuff is top class. You maybe wonder why I need so much carrying capacity on a bike. Well, what holds a lot holds a little. Obviously, there is very little weather protection on it, but the bike's about style, and we don't want to compromise that. The little screen that's on the GT, as opposed to the R model, does a surprisingly good job, but it's no Veta Windjammer or Rickman Polaris, for those who can remember so far back. So I wanted something which would tick all those boxes, and I had a hankering for the BMW six-cylinder for quite a while. I'd never had a six-cylinder bike before, and I kind of thought, well, this might just be the time. The reason I thought it might just be the time was partly down to the fact that I'd just finished chemotherapy and was due an operation in 6 or 7 weeks' time. Now, the success rate of the operation was very good to remove the majority of my esophagus. But, you know, in the back of your mind, I just kind of thought, maybe things might go pear-shaped. So as far as I was concerned, without being melodramatic, I had 6 or 7 weeks to go. Yes, I might wake up in intensive care with loads of tubes coming out of my body, or I might not. My life was in somebody else's hands. Anyway, I was going to make the most of these 6 or 7 weeks. So yeah, I bought the BMW and I did a 1,000-mile trip around the UK. It was great now. I was living life normally. It was just brilliant. I was no longer dependent on a tube through my nose, like being fed by liquid. I could now be completely independent and live a normal life like everybody else, and I loved it. In addition to the 1,000-mile trip around England, I did the Distinguished Gentleman's Ride, a cancer charity for those who don't know, which is actually worldwide. I was astounded by the donations that were given by my friends and family, and it was just gave me such a great feeling to be able to, I suppose, give something back to a cancer charity. The 11-hour robotic-assisted operation was a resounding success. Yes, I did wake up in intensive care with loads of tubes coming out of my body and was in hospital for 12 days, I think. And then everything went hunky-dory. Things improved, and I had to wait about another 7 weeks for the next batch of chemotherapy. In the meantime, I thought, you know, this sitting around at home, it doesn't really sit very well with me. So I booked the BMW and myself on a ferry to Spain for the end of November to maybe have 5 weeks, a bit of sunshine. Anyway, everything was great. I had something to look forward to. Unfortunately, the second batch of chemotherapy, although the side effects weren't too bad, it kind of knocked the wind out of my sails. This chemotherapy lark was starting to wear a bit thin. However, you know, it had the great result at the end of the day. But I was very tired. I finished my last lot of chemotherapy at the end of September, and which coincided with my birthday actually. And I thought, you know what? It's been quite a challenging year. I think I'll treat myself again. Now, it's blooming crazy this. I went out and bought a sports car. It turned out to be a good move really, because the surgeons and everybody over at Newcastle where I had the operation were not happy about me going over to Spain on a motorbike so soon after it. They're talking about a year's recovery from the operation. But when I said I got a car, they just gave it a thumbs up. Well, that was brilliant. I changed the vehicle for the ferry, booked the car on, and had a few weeks away in the sunshine. Now, the thing is, there was no time on that trip that I wished I was on a bike. The car just worked. Yes, I was still, I suppose, recovering from the operation and the chemotherapy, but a friend came with me for the first week so we could share the driving, and then after that I was on my own for about 4 weeks, and you know, it was absolutely brilliant. The Porsche Boxster has kind of taken the place almost of the BMW. So now my intention is that the Porsche Boxster is going to be my vehicle for when the weather's maybe dodgy or, you know, changeable. And Reg the Rocket, well, he's the one that I'm going to use for the better weather, and he's also the bike that I'll be using when I go to Spain and the Picos Mountains at the end of July. Everything's going great. Life is brilliant. Enjoy it. Thanks for watching.